Hi, my name is Eline, and with this podcast, I dive deep into the world of chronic illness. What is living with a chronic illness like? What are ways to redefine your purpose when life hit you so hard? How do people do this? I am on the lookout for answers to find out if there is a way to have a life filled with freedom, joy, and happiness, even when it feels like you're a prisoner in your own body. Welcome. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Spoonies Community Podcast. My name is Eline.
And I'm Marcus.
And we are here going to talk about a very personal
Topic
actually today.
Yeah. Do we need to put a disclaimer up?
Maybe a little trigger warning. Well, not trigger. Well, yeah, a TW. A TW. Where to start?
Well, I think just to say that what we're going to be talking about may be difficult for some people to listen to. It may be triggering. It may be something that has happened to someone listening to this podcast. Yeah. And if it starts to feel uncomfortable, then I don't know. Okay. You can log off now.
So we've had a very difficult last few months.
Yes.
Let's say. And we haven't shared the whole story with you yet, but we felt that we were ready to do that now.
And I think the nature of what you do with this podcast, and when I support with you on it, is that we touch on topics that are real life, things that happen, and it's not shying away from some of them because, like we talked about with intimacy on our last one when I joined, and anything in between, it's hopefully there to help people. So that is also why we wanted to do this.
Yeah. So late January, right before my birthday, we found out that I was pregnant.
We did.
I'm already gonna cry.
We'd only just started trying.
Yeah.
It had taken us one attempt to start.
Yeah. And already want to say there like that we know how lucky we were in that sense.
Yeah.
You never know.
No.
What can happen.
No.
Should we talk about first a little bit about our decision into whether we want to become parents or not? Because that's also a topic that is...
Yeah.
Or should we leave that for next one?
No, let's talk about it.
Because obviously parenting, when you deal with a chronic condition, whether it's pain or illness or disease, looks very different.
Yeah.
To how, I don't want to say normal, but like the
Conventional
way of parenthood looked like. And before the accidents, we really wanted to have children. I think we would have had children if it wasn't for the accidents already years ago.
Yeah, very early on I shared with you as well that because we have an age difference of 6 years, 5.5, 6 years. And I had always wanted to be a young father, young dad. Yeah. By the time I was 25, I wanted to have children. Most of my friends around me had children. And I just always saw myself as being a young dad. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's young, actually. It's quite old in Leicester where I'm from, because they all had theirs much younger. But I really wanted that. And so it was a topic for us quite early. Yeah. And you were always, at that point, someone that wanted children in the future.
Yeah, not when I was 25
not
years
when you were
old,
25,
but in the future, yeah. And then the accidents happened. And I remember right before my second accident, I was like, anything that will keep me stuck in the house. Like, I already feel so much panic from that. So yeah, we moved into we don't want to have children. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be for us.
Yeah.
Especially after the second accident. And then we moved to Ibiza. And
also on that part, it wasn't just you being inside. It was also, I had been caring for you for quite a number of years. And I didn't see how, in the position we were in, I would be able to support caring for you and a child at the same time. Yeah. And physically, I didn't know if it would be too much for you on your body, and you also felt that way. But mentally, I don't think we were in the space for it. And physically, either of us, you could have, but you holding on to a baby and me caring for both, I think would have been, for us at that time, way too much.
Yeah. So then we moved to Ibiza and things started to change a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, you can share this part, but it started to become more of a possibility because your recovery was getting better. Mm-hmm. You were able to do this, like sit up even with your feet and things, and you were more active. You were able to walk around more, and I think that made a difference for you being able to carry a child as well.
exactly. So I think physically I started to improve a little bit and slow. And also I think what we could see here was that there's a lot more community around children than it was in the city center of Amsterdam. At least that was a big part for me, was like, you really do it together here, and you see 8-year-old kids playing with 2-year-old kids, whereas in Amsterdam it was more separate, like all the age groups are kind of like with each other. And
so it was also, I don't want to interrupt, but it was also the fact that you would be able to, in Amsterdam, you did not have any freedom to take a child out, really, because you would need to be with your wheelchair and then going over tram lines, going over the inaccessible way of how Amsterdam was just not going to be possible.
No.
Whereas here, you do need a car because of where we live to go and do things. But if we were in a town like the first town we moved into, it was way more accessible. You could take yourself outside. You could take down the promenade, down the water. You could get onto a beach. You could. There was just things that were way more accessible for you to be able to look after a child. If I was working away doing something, that was also it.
True. Yeah. I think conclusion of the story is that we just both felt a lot more confident here to, at one point, start trying.
Mm-hmm. And happy about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a quick decision. It took us...
No, this is 4 years since the second accident.
Yeah.
Literally today.
Yeah, but it took us at least a year's worth of back and forth conversations. And I think we do that...
And therapy sessions.
But I think we do that quite well, where one of us will check in with each other and just say, hey, how are you feeling about it now?
Yeah.
And one of us might say, no, do you know what? It just feels still too soon. We're just settling into life here.
Yeah.
You were just starting to get your freedom back. I was starting to get that. Work was busy. Like, there was a reason, multiple reasons really, why we kept on saying no. But then as we started to say yes, it started to become easier.
So then we said yes.
We said yes after the honeymoon. Remember, we said we're going to enjoy the honeymoon in Japan.
Yeah.
And then after Japan, we're going to take just a couple of months, because we'd obviously got married. We'd been planning that. We'd moved to Ibiza. We'd then had the honeymoon. It'd been non-stop for...
November, we moved house again.
Yeah, November, we moved house again. So it's like, let's just relax for November, December, and we'll look to start trying end of the year and beginning of this year, which we did.
Yeah. And then I found out that I was pregnant. Well, we found out that I was pregnant.
Yeah. Which I don't know if we can share the video in the future, which was an unbelievable...
I'll share it on Instagram.
Unbelievable moment. We were both in shock because it was...
So quick.
So quick.
I knew it though.
You did know it. You know your body very well.
Yeah.
You knew it straight away.
And then the first weeks started happening. Week 5, I felt on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like, I felt so good. Literally the morning of week 6, I started to become nauseous, and not just a little bit.
No, you were very, very nauseous constantly.
Oh my God. I was so sick. I had this little metal bowl that I took with me everywhere we went.
Yeah.
And I was sick in it so often, like in the car, I was even sitting outside. I wouldn't make it to the toilets. So I was like just puking in the bowl.
Teaching Pilates, you would go
Teaching
to the
Pilates,
toilet.
I would go into the toilet. I threw up on the parking lot there as well, sorry if you're listening to this.
Yeah, it was pretty constant. You couldn't eat anything.
No, no. And at the same time, we were super happy.
Yeah,
we were so happy. I think I was just fascinated by it. And I really felt my body changing so quickly. And I did not realize that was so quickly. Like I felt the tendons around my uterus, like starting to really stretch already. My boobs were ginormous.
There are some perks of pregnancy.
Oh, they were so huge. I still actually have, you can't see it in this, well, you can see it maybe in this light a little bit still. I have like a crown.
Yeah, little
like this, of little hairs that started to happen. And yeah, we couldn't wait for the first scan, which was at week 7.
Mm-hmm.
And everything looked good.
Yeah.
The gynecologist was very happy.
Yeah.
And
you were having all the right symptoms.
I was having the right symptoms. So he was, like we saw
as they were for you, but they were the right symptoms.
Yeah, and that was a weird thing. Like that's so different from like the chronic illness that I was like, this has a purpose. I could really feel like at least I have the symptoms because that means that everything's still going well.
Yeah.
And I was terrified in the first trimester because I was like, you know, you hear so many stories of things that go wrong. So literally every time I went to the toilet, I was checking if there was blood or not. And that was also a crazy thing. There's so many things I want to touch upon, which people don't talk about. But anyway, we'll leave that for another time. And then, what was it?
8. Week 8.
Started to happen.
You started to lose some blood.
Yeah.
And you started to feel like something wasn't quite right.
Yeah. And in the beginning, the doctor said it can just be like the blood, you know, you can lose a little bit of blood. It was like, it was spotting. So it wasn't a lot. And that can really happen in the beginning of, you know, early pregnancy.
Also, we had sex again.
Yeah.
And he'd said that if you have sex, then 2 or 3 days afterwards is quite normal for there to be
some blood. Yeah.
So it was in that period of you weren't feeling quite right, but there were 2 signs that there was normal because the doctor had said this happens. And then also because of us having sex, it can also happen.
Yeah. So I really tried my best to trust that. And at the same time, I've come to realize that I really do know my body.
Incredibly well.
And
yeah, we decided to, well, we called your dad. Your dad is a gynecologist. And we called him and we sent him a picture of some of the blood that you were losing. And we asked him, is this normal? What is this? And he said that this is quite a lot. So book an appointment with the gynecologist to see what's happening.
And that was the first time.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The first time.
Yeah.
So then we booked an appointment. We're very lucky that we were able to book one privately because it was still too early to even have a normal scan within the system here in Spain or any normal system. So we booked it privately. And the gynecologist said, yeah, you know, baby's a little bit small and just continue, you know, you're feeling nauseous and that you're losing some blood. This is quite normal, but this happens. And then they did another ultrasound, and on the ultrasound, he kept on referring to the baby as being 6 weeks. And neither me or Aline really questioned it at that point. We thought, oh, maybe he's just confused. But as we realized later, the size that he was referring to was because it hadn't really grown.
Yeah.
And that it was still 6 weeks size, even though we were 8 weeks. And he said, you know, it's just a small baby. It will grow. You know, just keep doing the things that you're doing. And so we went home. You still didn't feel like things were correct.
No, and then that was on a Wednesday. And on Sunday evening, I started to lose a little bit more blood.
Yeah.
And I immediately texted the gynecologist. I was like, I need to have an appointment tomorrow. I do not feel like, and that is so not me. Like, I do not want to go to see a doctor, but I just knew like I need to have an appointment because I am not like calm around the situation.
And we spoke with your dad again.
Yeah.
And he said, it doesn't sound good. Like, go and get it checked.
And that morning in the shower, the Monday morning, I remember you asking me if you really listen to your intuition, what do you think? And I already told you, I don't think it's
good.
It's good news.
I asked, do you feel like there is life still there? And you said no.
Yeah.
And so we went to the appointment and walked into the doctors, and it was strange. I remember him being like, so what's going on? You know, what's happened? You know, why are we here? And you explained it to him and he was like, okay, well, let's just check, you know. I don't think he really thought that anything was wrong. I think he really felt like we were being a little bit more cautious, overcautious.
Yeah.
But then when you explained how much blood you'd been losing, he said, that's not a good sign. So we started to do the scan and you were lying there. Something we missed actually. On the previous scan and the first one, the heartbeat was extremely faint.
Yeah.
On both of the scans, like very, very faint. You could see it in the spectrum thing. Yeah, the sound, I don't know what you call it.
I don't know.
Yeah, lines. But it was extremely, extremely faint. And at one point, we were both kind of like, you should really be able to hear it. Every movie I've ever watched, every film I've ever watched is always you can hear and see it. And then he started to do the scan, and he was like, the baby hadn't grown. There was no heartbeat. And it's the news that you really just never think is going to happen to you, because no one talks about it and explains it to you. But it's like it just sucks all hope and happiness out of you. I think that's how it felt to me. And as a man in this, you feel so incredibly helpless, because for these last 8 weeks, you've not been growing anything inside you. You've not been responsible for the sickness, and you've not responsible for sickness. You've not been having the sickness. You've not been feeling the fatigue. You've not been seeing your body change. So the connection to it is very, very different, I feel, to the connection that you would have. And I think that's quite hard to think about, because you're just helpless in this whole situation. And I know there's nothing I can do other than support, but quite quickly in my head, it was, okay, what's the next steps? Like, I was very distanced with my emotions, because for me, it was, how do I support you with this next part? Because I don't know what to expect. And again, in movies, what I've ever read, it's that this process can be very quick. It's like, oh, just go onto the toilet and suddenly it will come out. That's not how it happens at all. But how are you feeling with it at that point? Because
I was devastated. It was a confirmation of something I already knew. And what happens next is that you are entering this weird limbo period of knowing that the baby wasn't viable, yet still having all the pregnancy symptoms, which was the biggest mindfuck, I think, of my life.
Sorry.
That I was still so sick, so tired, so flat, yet knowing that it was for nothing.
Yeah.
And that all of those weeks that I've been feeling so sick and battled through, it was all for nothing. It really felt like that.
Yeah.
And then we waited and waited and waited, and nothing was happening.
Well, you're still losing blood.
Yeah, but it was tiny bits.
Small bits.
And I had a few days where I stopped losing blood. So it's like, and then you have this weird moment of like, oh, maybe what if, it is still alive, or what if, but also like, what if this was it, because again, it was a first time experience for the both of us. So how much blood do you need to lose? Like, I don't know. No. I don't have many people around me yet, because statistically, I know there's so many women who experience miscarriage, but I'm among the first of
your friendship group that we know of.
Exactly. And yeah, that weird limbo period happened where you're trying to digest what's happening. You're speaking to some people, and I felt like emotionally I was also waiting. Like, you're still not through it. And at one point I was like, how long should I wait for? Because I don't want to keep on feeling like this. I want to, if you know that it's going to happen anyway, I want it to happen naturally because of my body, because of the fact that I deal with so many things, and I know I'm sensitive to things, but like, at least I hope that my body would do it by itself.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have to medically, intervene. But after 5 days, I wanted to see a gynecologist. The gynecologist that we saw privately wasn't able to help us anymore. So I made an appointment in the hospital.
Yeah, you have to go to the hospital for this next part.
And the gynecologist said, you can get a pill here. And then 48 hours later, you need to insert 4 pills. And that will help your body get things going.
Yeah.
I made the decision I made the decision to take the pill there, because I wanted to help my body to get things moving. And again, what I didn't realize is the pill doesn't just induce cramps.
No.
The pill is a hormone bomb.
Yeah.
And I completely did not factor in the fact what it does to your hormonal system if you take that pill. I have never, ever, ever felt so much anxiety and and panic and restlessness in my life as that day.
Yeah.
Like I felt it kick in. I was like, holy shit. What is happening to my body right now? And I want to say that at the same time, in hindsight, I am very happy I took it. I just want to inform that if you are at this point, I want to inform you what it can do to your body, so you don't go in super blind, basically, the way that I did. I am happy I took that pill.
Yeah, and I remember going into that appointment, and we both hadn't quite made the decision.
No.
Whether we were actually quite adamant we were not going to take it then. We wanted to take it home with us and think about it for a few days.
Yeah.
But then the doctor said, you're not allowed to take this out with you. I have to see you take it here because it's an abortion pill. And it's not something they can leave the premises. So we had to make the decision there and then. And that's also why you took it at that point and not waiting any longer, because it was also like, you have to take it now, or you have to come back in a few days or in a week and then take it.
Yeah. So the first pill is an hormonal one. And then 2 days later, I had to insert 4 pills. But what happened was that the day after, I started to feel cramps, and I knew that things were starting and starting to happen. And I had a hot water bottle, to just kind of help me through the day. And at one point I felt it plop out of me when I stood up.
There's something we're missing here. You started to wear
your boxers.
My boxers, but also like different pads and stuff.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So we were also anticipating that this might happen. So, you had to start wearing different clothes and start wearing more bigger pads and things to make sure that if anything does happen, that it also helps.
Yeah.
But continue. You throw a plop.
Yeah. And I just remember I stood there to you and I was like, I think it just happened.
Yeah.
I think it literally just happened. And
how was that for you to have this? Because something that we got told and has happened to friends that we've spoken to afterwards is that it can be very much like you're giving birth as well. Like when having a miscarriage can also be where you have the contractions and you are really needing to push to get the baby out. With this, it didn't happen that way at that point.
Yeah.
How did that feel for you? That at that point that could have just been it.
Weird. And relieved. I was like, okay, maybe I don't need to have to insert those 4 pills, which I knew were very much contraction inducers. I felt grateful for my body to do it almost by itself.
Yeah.
And also weird at the same time, because you're like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is it. So now, what do you do?
Yeah.
You're then, on the toilet, we decided to keep it and put it in a little box.
Yeah. I remember the panic that you were there. You were so confused. I
was so confused.
What do I do? What do we do? Like, do we leave it? And I was just like, okay, but just nothing to worry about. We don't have to make a decision right now.
True.
Let's just leave it in the pad. Let's put it in a box. Let's just put it to the side. We can make a decision on this later. Let's first, because you're still bleeding.
Yeah.
Let's first just get you feeling okay, and let's be together at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot about that part. You're absolutely right. So panic, indeed. Yeah, and lots of confusion. And now you're saying this, it's taking me back to that moment. Like, yeah, true, I was very confused and very in panic. Like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And then also afterwards, it's like, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
This is it. This was it. And then what do you do? Do you just go on with your life as if nothing happened? Like, I was like, do I need to feel very sad right now? But I was in so much shock.
Yeah, and we also kind of needed some confirmation of what had just happened. So we sent a picture to your dad again.
Yeah.
And we asked our neighbours to come and check.
Because they
had been through the similar situation.
Yeah.
Our
neighbours are, among our best friends as well. So
yeah, around our age as well. So like it's normal for us to ask them. And they also confirmed that they thought that it was the baby, which is, again, a bit of a mindfuck, because you're like, okay, that's good. but also like, oh, what the hell just happened?
Yeah, so then we just took it very easy that day,
Mm-hmm.
and we decided to keep it to at a later moment, give it a nice...
Do something with
do
it.
something with it. So that was good.
Yeah.
Well, good within the circumstances. Until the next day happened.
Yeah.
And I didn't take those 4 pills anymore because
No.
I was like, this was so clean and it came out so good. You know, why would you insert those 4 pills? But I did start to have contractions.
Yeah. Yeah.
On Saturday afternoon, I didn't really lose that much blood anymore.
No.
It was quite quiet. And then Sunday, I started to have contractions, a lot of pain in my back, my tummy, like hot water bottles weren't coping anymore. I needed you to push my back. I was just hugging the sofa on my side to catch those. And it was just weird because, I thought I already lost the baby, but then I thought, well, maybe there's some like after bleeding or whatever. I guess it can happen. You don't know because we've never been through this. So
no one tells you these things.
No one tells it. Exactly. And I started to lose a little bit more of gushes of blood.
Mm-hmm.
And then at one point we were watching a film in the evening.
It was thicker as well. It was becoming more
Clotty.
more clots.
And then in the evening we were watching a film, and I just didn't literally that.
Yeah, a little cough.
And it started, it was like the taps went open and I started bleeding like crazy.
Yeah.
I won't go into too much detail because I don't know, like,
there was a lot.
It was a lot, and it was
lots
clots,
of clots.
And it was big kind of clots where can my body produce this? Where does this come from?
Yeah. And then we started to second guess whether even the first, when we thought we'd seen the baby that had come out the first time, was that it? Or was that a beginning of a clot?
Yeah.
So then every time you were, again, both of us panic set in. It's like, oh my God, don't do this on the toilet, because what if this is now the baby that's going to go down the toilet, and instead you want to catch it. So like, what do we do?
Yeah.
But after the first couple of times, we realized, no, the first time was what we thought it was, 100%. And that these were just clots.
Yeah.
Which is a bit, again, weird realization or moment where you're going, you need to catch this to, and check it. And you're like, it's like you remove yourself and your feelings from the situation. It's very transactional.
And very animal-like.
Yeah, it is.
It's very earthly animal, you can't control it. But I think from that moment, everything went super quick.
Yeah.
Because I did not stop bleeding. That's basically the conclusion.
No.
So I was, at one point I'm transferred from the toilet to the shower because I need to clean myself a little bit. And quite quickly we decided I'm losing way too much blood.
Yeah, you were standing up in the shower and loads was coming out of you. And you were still, because of how we'd already mentioned earlier, like, you don't want to be a fuss. You don't want to go and see a doctor if you don't have to. And you were still like, let's just wait and see. And I was like, no, we're going to the hospital now.
Yeah.
There was no reason for us to wait. This is a lot of blood. It's a lot of clots. Let's just go. They can tell us what to do.
Yeah. And we had some big health scare here on the mountain where we live the week before.
Yeah.
And we're still in the midst of it. So
Not for us.
But we were still in the midst of that situation. Yeah. So I was a bit more like, let's just freaking go to the hospital. And so our neighbors gave birth last year to a beautiful baby, and she still had some maternity pads left. So she gave the pads to me, and how did I need them?
Yeah.
So we ended up going to the hospital with the panic of like, I can't even get dressed because I'm losing so much blood. What do I do? We went to hospital and immediately were seen. And I say this all the time because I felt so seen in that moment. So you need to go to ER and you need to go to triage. We were helped super quickly because I told the guy.
We got to the desk.
Yeah.
And you explained to him what happened.
Yeah.
And he rushed us straight into
the triage
room.
Yeah. And the triage room called gynecology, and they were like, tengo una nena que dice que es un río. For the people who don't speak Spanish, it's like, got a girl here. She says it's a river coming out of her. Yeah. And I looked at her and I was like, that is exactly what is happening. I felt so seen in that moment, which I always kind of, I don't know, I just felt very seen in that moment. Yeah. So we immediately were rushed to gynecology and
walked into the room.
Yeah.
And the nurse said, "Okay, can you take your
Pants
can we
off.
take your
Yeah.
your trousers off and we'll
Do
take
we
these."
tell just for the people who are a bit
Maybe
sensitive?
skip the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, skip the next 30 seconds.
And it's like, can you take your trousers off, and then can you take the maternity pants off? And as you took the maternity pants, this flood of blood and clots and everything,
at the size of both of my hands,
and it dropped on the
like,
floor and
that.
splattered everywhere, on their desk, on the seat, on the floor,
on the walls, over Marcus
on
and the
me.
nurse.
And we were just like, I was like, oh my God, what the hell was that? And then you were just so apologetic. You're like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I was like, Aline, it's okay. They're a nurse that works maternity ward. This is completely what they expect to see. So it's fine.
You had to tell me that like 5 times because I didn't believe you.
And you felt so
so embarrassed.
And I was like, this is why we're here. This is the whole reason that we're doing this.
She did tell me, she was like, were you losing this much blood? I was like, yeah. She left it there on purpose for the gynecologist to see.
Yeah.
So they did an ultrasound and they could see that the
baby had gone.
The baby had gone. So they were like, you don't need to do a DNC. A DNC is basically a procedure where how I explain it is like they go in with a vacuum cleaner and vacuum your womb. That's basically how I see it. So they were like, you don't need that, but we do need to get this bleeding under control.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep you here for observation. During the 3.5 hours that we were there for observation, I still lost so much blood. And at one point towards the end of those 3.5 hours, I lost so much blood that I leaked through 3 maternity pads within 15 minutes. Yeah. Lost more blood clots. And that was the moment where she said, I'm going to call the gynecologist and we're going to get you in for surgery. Which was confusing because I was like, you told me that I don't need to do a DNC and now I do need to do a DNC. Yet at the same time, I also really felt like this bleeding needs to stop because I'm losing too much blood.
That was a lot.
And then they took me in for the procedure and they were like, normally we do this under full anesthesia, but because you've eaten dinner tonight, we can't do that. So you're going to get an epidural. I felt my body go into full panic mode again, but I used all my nervous system tools and tricks and techniques. I literally did. And I was thinking about this yesterday, actually. During the whole procedure, I was talking to my body in my mind. I was talking to her. You're safe. I'm here with you. I know this is scary. Like I was really, really, really using all the techniques I have in order to get me through the procedure. What happened though was that the epidural didn't really work. It worked up until a certain extent. And so I could feel what they were doing, which wasn't the most pleasant of feelings. But I was like, we're going to put that to the side and that's going to come later. The nurses and the doctors, I want to say that were so amazing. They're really, really, really good. And very, I felt very seen. And I told them about my leg. I have trauma when it comes to hospitals and surgeries, and can you please talk me through everything you're doing? And they really, really did. So I really want to say that I also felt very proud of myself for standing up. It was the first time in an ER that I stood up, like a theater room, that I stood up for myself and clearly communicated what I needed. Yeah. It was the first time I was able to do that. So I was proud of myself for doing that. And basically after the DNC, the bleeding stopped. I say that the bleeding in that amount stopped. Yeah. I bled for another 3.5 weeks after. So just want to confirm that for anyone going through that. At that point, I had been bleeding for 5.5 weeks straight. Yeah.
And for me, it was quite scary seeing you go into surgery again because it's, I also don't have a good feeling around hospitals with stuff that's happened in the past with you and other people. Yeah. So it's not my favorite place. And what had happened 2 weeks before with our friends also was not, I'd been there way too often in the span of 10 days. So it was horrible to see you going in for a surgery, which I don't really know much about, but they were also really good, the nurses coming in to tell me what was going on and stuff. So that helped.
So I kind of want to leave the whole practical part there because this was very much like an factual things of all the things that happened. I came home from hospital. I started crying a lot. Yeah. And then after a few days, I was like, I think we're slowly getting back to feeling myself again. But I did notice, I was like, I want to speak to people who have gone through the same. And I could not find those people.
No.
And sorry. I just hope that by sharing this story, sorry. Okay. I just hope that by sharing this story, that if you're going through this, please reach out if you want to talk, because it is such a lonely place to be. And the fact that I'm crying now says, we're 8 weeks down the line, so it happened 2 months ago. And it only started really hitting me the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Of course, I felt sad, but I was also very happy that I wasn't so extremely nauseous anymore the whole time. I was like, at least that's done. And I started to very slowly come out of the, I felt my hormones go back to normal again.
Your body was changing.
My body was changing. Yeah. And then the last 2 weeks happened where I started to see pregnancy announcements of other October babies.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, fuck, we're in the moment now where I would have been through my first trimester. And we're going to see the announcements now. Mm-hmm. There's one part that people said, like, you're already with your head in the future and you're already basically walking behind your pram. And I was like, that wasn't the case for me.
No.
I think if there's one thing that we learned over the course of our chronic or my health journey, is that we don't project into the future anymore. We're staying very, very close to the present because you don't know what's going to happen. There were a few key moments of like, okay, I'm going to Holland then I'm able to announce it to the wider world because I'm through my first trimester. So up until 2 months ahead, I was projecting into the future. But seeing the announcements of the first October babies, and also besides that, hearing friends who became pregnant around the same period of time, it's very confronting.
And it's not to say you're not happy for them.
No, not.
But it's just,
not
it's
at all.
a confronting situation.
Yeah. And I think that triggered the real processing of the grief.
Yeah.
A lot for me. And I have felt, I think, the loneliest I've ever felt in my entire life over the last basically 2 weeks, because it's been 6 weeks since you lost the baby. You're recovering from the DNC. I've told people around me already, like, I'm okay, like I'm doing fine. And then suddenly it's hitting me and I'm like, where do I go with my sadness? And people also not forget that you were pregnant at all, but
it's not their trauma.
No. And it feels like it was very much my own sadness, and also between us, like.
Yeah, I was going to touch on the way that you and I process things is very different.
Yeah.
I go inwards in a different way of you going inwards, that I go for long walks and I really think about it and I share my emotions, usually in private. I go
in the woods.
Yeah, in the woods somewhere. Or I remember telling my mum that we'd lost the baby, and like that raw emotion came up in that phone call. Yeah. But I also I think about things a lot more, and I go very quiet. And whereas you like to talk about it, and not always, but we're just very different in how we process things. And I think for us in that situation where you felt quite alone was because I was already moving on with this again, because as a man in this situation, I hadn't been developing the baby and had the connection. I hadn't just had the surgery you just had. I hadn't lost all the blood. So for me, it was a very different sensation, feeling than what you had felt. So we were in a very different stage of our grief.
Yeah, exactly. And I also got a lot of comments from people that felt like it wasn't really helpful in that moment. Things like, oh, but you got pregnant within one time. At least you can get pregnant, and at least once you start trying, it will happen soon again. Or people who've gone through it who said like, oh, but within 3 months I was pregnant again.
The other final bit is when people say it happens a lot. It happens a lot. It doesn't help.
No.
If you say, oh, it's 1 in 4, it's 1 in 5, it's 1 in 3. Okay, fantastic. That does not help me in this situation. You telling me that happens to a lot of people is not good, because those people are not speaking about it, which is why we're also doing this.
Yeah.
Is that we are one of those 1 in 4 or 1 in 3, but we want to open it up so that other people are able to speak to someone about it. whether
Yeah.
it's happening going to happen in the future, or it's happened to you even many years ago,
Yeah.
and you've not been able to actually have a conversation or listen to someone that's gone through it, then also use this as an opportunity. Because I feel like with some of the people that we shared it with that had those comments, they had also gone through a similar situation, but not processed it themselves, or had not,
Yeah.
or had held on to it in a different way. And so
Yeah.
they were maybe projecting their own
story
and discomfort with it, as
Mhm.
opposed to support, which is, it's a coping mechanism. I get it.
And actually, it made me very insecure.
Yeah.
Because over these past 2 weeks, I was like, why am I experiencing all these very big emotions that others seem to have just brushed over and, moved on from?
Yeah.
Plus, what I think is not helpful about it is that you're projecting something in the future when this is
exactly.
something that happened very recently in the past. So
And still going through it.
So you're not doing justice to what's happened in the past if you're already projecting into the future of like, oh, but you'll get pregnant
Yeah.
again. I know that. Again, for the people who are listening who are struggling with getting pregnant, I see you. I can't say that I know how it feels because I've not been there, but I want to make sure that I see you. At the same time, for me personally, my worry isn't in the future. My pain is in the past. My pain is about the love that I was already feeling. And what I came to realize is that my body just changed. My body has changed since this pregnancy. And there's so many things that I want to touch upon still. There's one thing, for example, like I feel like my whole system has been rewired on a very cellular, visceral level. Like my system has been rewired, and how do you explain this? It's not that I'm like focused on babies and pregnancies, but I do see it everywhere. But before I see it with my eyes, it's like I feel there is a child around me, like if there's a kid or a pregnant woman around me. And one of the things that I've really struggled with is that I started to feel, again, on a very animal-like behavior that I have never felt before, that I can rationalize away with my brain, but feel like body-wise, I have felt like, where the fuck is my child?
Yeah.
Where is my baby? Like I can feel that I have given birth to something and it's not here.
Yeah.
And that is just super freaking painful. And very lonely because I'm the only one who's feeling that.
Yeah.
And also, I spoke to my therapist last week and, sorry, that's what I want to say now.
While you think of it, I think one of the things that also comes up is the first pregnancy is...
That's...
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something... Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Something has been taken away that we're not going to get back. And that is the fact that it's a first pregnancy. Also, the next pregnancy, we will never be able to be that almost naively happy with it because what experience we've had.
Yeah.
And the fear that we both carry for the next pregnancy is there. And that's not going to go away.
No.
Not until at least we hit 9 weeks, and then it's a new story, then it's a new story that can be rewritten. But up until that point, we carry this first pregnancy. We carry this first experience with us. And of course, it can live next to the excitement of a new pregnancy, but it's still there.
It's still there, and it's still going to be very hard.
And I asked my therapist last week, can we start trying again? Because we're having that conversation. Are we going to start again, or are we going to wait a little bit? And I said, I don't want the next one to feel like it's a replacement baby. No. It's filling a gap of what could have been. And I said, do I need to wait until this is a full closed circle before we start something new? And I said that I felt very confused about that. And she said, Eileen, the confusion doesn't lie in this question. The confusion lies in that you don't know what a full closed circle looks like.
Yeah.
Because what does that look like? And I found that such an amazing key question, because I was like, good point. What does that look like?
Yeah.
And then I said, I think it would look like the fact that you can say with your arms wide open, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know, I've gone through it. I've
Yeah.
processed it. I'm ready for the next baby to come. And then when I said that out loud, I realized, and then I asked her as well, I was like, or is this actually not realistic anymore?
Mm-hmm.
You know, is this not, because of what we experience, is this already not what it's going to look like anymore?
Yeah.
And then she looked at me, she was like, most likely that's not what it's going to look like anymore. And
that's kind of where we are today.
That's kind of where we are today, yeah.
We're going to take it day by day, week by week, and see how we feel. And, you know, we do sessions with the psychologist together. You do them privately.
Yeah.
And we talk about these things. And we, again, go back to what we did before, which is where we try and understand how we're both feeling about the situation and when the timing feels right. And similar with this podcast and sharing this episode, it's like the moment is now, because we've both been going through a lot, that we want to share it, but also know that this next part is also not easy. And so we'll take people along that journey as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And I know you said it might be a little bit too early to make this episode, but I hope that I felt like I wanted to share already.
Yeah, and I think it was good that we have. And I'm happy that people get to listen to this and take something away from it. Yeah. And as you mentioned, if you've been through it before but never had a chance to share your story or talk about it or anything, if you're going to in the future, hopefully you have a very successful pregnancy. But if there is anything that happens, then you know that you have people that have been through it that can talk about it as well.
I'm going to wipe off my tears.
I think that's a good way for us to end.
Yeah, I agree. I would like you to know that if you have any questions or comments, or if anything resonated for you, you know where to find us. You can send an email, you can send me a DM on Instagram, you can leave a comment below the episode, and please share this episode with people that you know are going through a potentially tough time, because, well, that first of all, and then another one, I know I shouldn't say so much, but share this episode, share it on your stories, share it with people around you, because you don't know who's going through it or not.
That's the other point. People might not even know. Exactly.
People might not even know. And again, I want to say it's such a lonely place to be. I have never felt more lonely the last 2 weeks as I have before. So please do us a favor and share this episode so more people can listen to it and watch it. Watch me cry. And we're going to keep it real here, aren't we?
Yeah.
I want to thank you so much for being here and listening to the story. All right.
Thanks all.
Thanks, lovelies.
Bye.
Bye.